I'm going to finish this off.
Okay.
Thank
All
you for
right.
eating all this bread on our behalf, by the way, dearie family.
We got 2 left. We can mail them to you.
Could you? Yeah, I'll meet you at the Peace
Don't
Arch.
tease. Don't tease me like this.
All right.
Is that going to be the new thing? Like, I'll meet you at 4 Post to be like, I'll meet you at Peace Arch.
No, you can actually meet at Peace Arch.
Well,
It's
that's
like the
cool.
one place you can meet. Yeah.
You're actually like because of a treaty between the U.S. and Canada, it's illegal to shut down access to the Peace Arch Park. So Canadians and Americans have been able to meet there this whole time.
They don't like it, from what I understand.
Yeah, they don't like it, but they can't stop you.
There was a 99% invisible about it very recently, and basically the border is kind of contingent on the Peace Arch staying open. Like, we'd have to renegotiate a bunch of stuff if we closed it.
Exactly.
I have some interesting things to tell you at the Columbia River in a minute.
Cool. I just want to say this.
I didn't know that about Peace Arch Park. Like, I knew it was special. I just didn't realize that was that was a contingent in treaties. That's like, that has to remain open.
Yeah, I heard about it in the early days and was like, ooh, a way to meet friends. And have not actually yet convinced anyone to meet me there.
Oh my God, Carrie, you got to look up the Peace Arch as a location on Instagram. It's just selfies of, transnational picnics. It's very cute.
People
There's some
sobbing
weddings.
with joy in their faces.
Oh yeah, people get married out there.
Oh man.
Go ahead.
I want to go have picnics with Canadian friends.
Yeah. Next Desert Bus is going to be at the Peace Arch.
Yeah.
We're going to do it in person somehow.
They can't stop us forever. No.
What are you
I
going
want
to
it to
do?
be like-
Close the border about it?
I want to be like the U.S.-Russia summit,
Yeah.
where they meet and they shake hands at the thing. Like, yes, we understand that. Yes.
I mean, our wedding was
yes,
like
and
that.
also with you. Great
Just
job.
high-fived and we were married.
Yeah.
Growing up in Alberta, we don't learn a lot about, like, you learn about Alberta, right? You learn about the places and stuff that goes on in Alberta, so you don't really learn about... Alberta doesn't have a lot in the way of crossings. We have Wild Horse, which is south of Medicine Hat, and there's another one, I think, that's south of Lethbridge, and that's it. And they are small.
Wow.
Like, when I crossed at Wild Horse one time, it's literally a shack on the side of the road. You don't know that you're at a border, practically, but it is, other than the fact that it's like a place there's like, stop. You have to stop
Yeah.
here. And there's like, in both directions, prairie. I don't even remember seeing fences, just prairie in both directions. And you pull over, you stop at the middle of this thing, this guy comes out of the shack, and that is a customs officer. And, they're talking to you about, okay, what's going on, and da-da-da-da-da. And then you can go on your way. But yeah, it was like, it does not feel at all like this is the largest undefended border in the world. It feels exactly like that, actually, but it doesn't feel like the border. So I'm like, I understand the whole idea of this is the largest undefended border in the world. It's like, I see why, because this is how we treat our borders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been. Times Two says you've been to Havre. I'm like, I have been to Havre. I've been to Havre in Great Falls. There was a Kinsman meetup down there, which is weird. Kinsman is a Canadian service club. I talked about it last time. But there is one group in the States, and they work at Havre. It's weird.
Cloth.
Right, the Columbia River. So I did when I was working at University of Victoria. One of my in one of the jobs I had there, I was also picking up. I'd have to go record lectures, and there'd be different lecture series that would get recorded. And so I was like, it was in media services, so I had to go do that. And that also meant that I got to hear some really amazing lectures on stuff that I never would have been that interested in. And one of them was from the Ministry of Mining here in BC. The Ministry of Mining looks after all natural resources for BC, and we have a lot of them. So I think they also look after forestry. I'm not sure, but mining is definitely their thing, and that means that water forms part of that too. And also then whenever you want to have a dam, that's part of it too. And they were talking about water rights.
About them.
Well, we have a weird relationship with the state of Washington in that the Columbia River starts in British Columbia and winds its way down through Washington State. And back in the 1950s, we had we made an agreement with them that what we would do is that we were going to put hydro dams up to block the Columbia River.
Yeah.
And what we would do as part of that is that meant that we would have all this control over the water that was coming through, and it would restrict the amount that was flowing down the Columbia River into the state of Washington.
Yeah.
And for us doing that, the state of the United States, I don't think it was the state of Washington specifically, but was the United States that was like, cool, and we're going to give you X number of dollars as a to pay for the water that you're sending down to us.
Oh.
Sure. Okay.
Makes
Yeah.
sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, because you guys are going to need that water, obviously. That's so.
Do kind of need it to survive.
Yeah, kind of need it.
A little bit.
So they were paying, I think it was about $500,000. I don't think that was yearly. I think that was one time in the 1950s.
Oh.
Meanwhile, we've been maintaining these dams, which of course we're getting hydropower out of, and we're also selling that hydro, I think, probably out of the province as well, maybe even to Washington State. But yeah, we've been sitting on all that water for a very long time, and we've had to maintain all these dams, and we've had to build new dams, we have to do all this other work, and all that has to come out of BC taxes and everything else. And so there's a sense among the Ministry of Mining that they're kind of like, we're actually doing the state of Washington a service, because if we just let all that water go, it would be catastrophic.
Yeah.
And so there was the stance that they were taking at the lecture I was recording, which was somebody from the Ministry of Mining was there being like, in about, excuse me, this is 2011 or so, 2012 or whatever, it's like, in about a year, the contract comes due. And when it comes due, if we don't renew it, then then both the United States and Canada have to undergo, and this is the province has to renew this, right? And the province chooses not to. Both the United States and Canada have to undergo a very protracted, a very in-depth conversation about what are we going to do about all this water?
Yeah.
Because it's coming. And they don't, and it's like, we can renew the contract, but if we renew the contract, then it just stays the way it is. But if we don't renew the contract, then we have to renegotiate the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so basically, the stance that the United States was taking at the time, and this I believe was Obama administration era, was, well, what do we care? Just send it. And the state of Washington was like, oh, hang on a second. Let's have a conversation. And BC was like, we don't want to just open the sluices and just let you guys have all that water, because we could just do that if you want it.
That'd be no good, though.
And they're like, no, because you would end up flooding out not just hundreds of millions of dollars worth of property, billions of dollars worth of property and infrastructure in Washington State. You would destroy much of the agriculture that they have in that entire region.
Oh my gosh.
It would be an actual, like, straight up human caused catastrophe if we let that happen.
Yeah.
Like most of our catastrophes.
And as BC said,
Yeah.
the person there was essentially saying, we have Washington State by the short and curlies.
Mm-hmm.
They might have to just give in to whatever it is that we want. And if we don't get this thing renewed in a year, if they choose not to renew it in a year, the option is not to renegotiate it for a new treaty. The option is both sides have to start taking steps to dam the river in a way that will not destroy everything in the state and in the province. And it was like, oh, I hope you work this out. And they're like, well, the idea is we're working it out. We're going to ask for our fair share of what it would take to maintain these dams in the first place, and we'll see how that goes. And that was it. That was that was all they could say. It's like, we don't know what's going to happen. But it's a provincial state thing. But then all of a sudden, because it crosses the border, Canada and the U.S. have to get involved federally as well. And it's like, oh no. So
I'm just suggesting this, but you could ask for, like, I don't know, Seattle.
Oh,
I think Seattle's worth way more.
I think Carrie
US.
wants us to take over.
I'm just saying.
Most of our billionaires have moved away, though. So
That's fair. Yeah.
yeah.
It's not like I'm asking Canada to repeat their invasion and destruction of government property from the last time. I just want you to annex my city.
I mean, we're not even asking for the capital, right? You guys, like, Olympia can stay in Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just take Seattle.
Yeah.
I'd even
I
jump to
think
the
I-
Orcas, and you could just take the Orcas.
I mean, sure, yeah.
What if I could? I know.
Give me time to get there first, but then
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Oprah just sold her house. We could just move in there.
It's
Yeah.
maybe the
Yeah.
San Juan Islands as well while we're at it, Friday Harbor and all that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm
You can
just
fix the ferry
saying,
system.
annex some territory from Washington State and patriate me. That's all I request.
Yeah,
they were
patriate me,
gonna-
Daddy.
If they were going to let us annex anything at all, we would take Point Roberts.
Yeah.
And people in
Yeah.
Vancouver would be furious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that would do anything
No.
for anyone. Just get everybody angry.
So it
Point
has
Roberts
been about
is so weird, though.
it's been about 10 years, and they did say that that if they didn't renegotiate it properly, that within the course of about, I think it's either 10 years or 20 years, it's like you don't get to make a new treaty. Like this, Brexit is Brexit, right? It's like you can't,
Yeah.
you don't get to turn around and say, oh, we didn't mean it. It's like,
No take backsies. Yeah.
yeah. And if they haven't announced new
no.
dams in Washington State, then I assume that they worked everything out.
You can't just do some sort of
Yeah, I mean-
gamer apology for not working it out.
Apparently not. It was like when the treaty expires, it's gone. It's no longer applies. They'd have to start from scratch, and it's like
jeez.
you can't. You have to actually spend this time trying to be responsible for what you own.
Yeah, you get back into a whole, like, political
Oh,
thing.
I would hate if Canada annexed Olympia because then I'd have to take my passport to go to Portland, and nobody wants that. To go, what is it? To go around to Tumwater? I don't think so.
I don't go to Portland all that often. I'm okay with it.
Just a nice strip from Vancouver to Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Merge the two Vancouvers.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they really should do. There
They're
shouldn't be
eventually
two
going to
that
grow
close
together anyway, right? So
Yeah.
So
And
I
I-
went.
Wait, there's two Vancouvers?
yeah, there's Vancouver, Oregon.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Vancouver,
No, it's
Washington, I guess
Washington,
technically
yeah.
it's yeah, but
Yeah.
it's right on the border, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is it,
I once
is
sat.
it legal to do that?
Yeah.
To
To have two Vancouvers? Yeah.
Vancouver
Which
is
Vancouver
so
sues
close-
the other for plagiarism?
so
Yeah.
close together?
There's two Grand Prairies.
Yes, I know that,
Yeah.
but one is spelt differently, so it doesn't count.
Fair enough. Okay.
In California, there are
Texas.
two Idlewilds. Why? One of them
Wow,
has
why
more.
are they so close together?
Yeah.
It's
One of them has a
just like-
dog for a mayor. That's pretty cool.
Oh,
hi.
okay. We should keep that one, get rid of the other one.
Get rid of the other
Yeah.
one. I agree. Yeah, yeah.
Make the dog mayor of both.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just split the difference.
I did sit on the light rail from coming up from the airport one year, several years back, listening to someone who claimed to have worked for the transit system in Washington State back in the 90s, who said that he was on a very famous TV show, and also, no, he didn't, but also he claimed that there were plans originally for high-speed light rail between Seattle and Vancouver, and I'm so mad that never panned out. I would love like a 45-minute ride to Vancouver.
More trains. Any trains.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would take any train at this point.
I'm a big fan of trains.
All trains. All the
All
time.
trains, all the time.
There was always a rumor in Alberta that they were going to build a high-speed corridor between Edmonton, Red Deer, and
Oh,
Calgary.
that was just some dreams
Because
dashed on a sidewalk.
That's a straight line. The if you drive on Highway 2 between those two locations, there's about the deviation is very slight. It's just a little bit of a wave.
Yeah.
You have to barely turn to go both directions or to go either direction. It's just like
Wow.
so everyone's like build high-speed rail. That would be great.
only-
Yeah.
The only problem with trains is that the Sentai series that had trains had the most boring train configuration of giant robot.
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
was 5 trains stuck together. It was like, oh, I'm
Okay.
Starfish Man.
Honestly, it's too bad because it was like all of the different, it's like Power Rangers essentially. All of the different ones had like had numbers, and in the middle of fights, they would trade tracks and then become each other's colors and just have each other's powers. But their numbers would maintain the same, and it was like, oh, this is really cool. You be whatever color you want now.
Yeah. Thomas the Tank Engine would have been a very different show if they could all just merge into one sort of mecha tank
yeah.
engine.
And
Yeah.
if they were high speed,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they also had some sort of monkey puppet inside one of the because it's like
oh
I
yeah,
don't know.
I think I don't remember.
I only watched a few episodes. You should go back and watch it.
Tokyuger, yeah, we should probably go do that.
Like not here, not now,
No.
because that's not this business, but busness. Because we're about buses, not trains.
Mind your own busness.
We were watching more. There's a Hello Kitty Shinkansen. I just wanted to drop that in the thing right now. There's a Hello Kitty Shinkansen. It's Kodama, I think, got a repaint. and it runs between Hakata, which is out on the west coast of Japan, and to Shinosaka Station. So it goes through Hiroshima, and we watched the video on it. They just dropped like about 18 hours ago, and it was very cute. And there's, you're like, oh, there must be lots of Hello Kitty stuff, and it is, and there isn't, because you expect all the chairs are going to be bright pink and it's all going to be white on the inside and whatever. No, it's still like dark gray on the inside, and the seats are all purple, but there's Hello Kitty imagery plastered all over everything, everywhere you go. And there are parts of there's actually an entire car. They just got rid of all the seats and just turned it into a thing to tell you about how cool it is in Western Japan. And like, you can try, Hiroshima has Momiji Manju, and you can go here, and they like to eat sweets here, and in Okayama, and there's giant Hello Kitty things you can stand with and take pictures with. One whole car that's just devoted to sightseeing the region while you are standing and getting pictures. It's wild.
Inside a train.
Inside the train, yeah.
Yeah.
300
A
kilometers
moving
an hour.
train? Okay.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Like a train that moves?
Yeah.
Like a moving train on
you
your
remember-
on your way between both.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Crashed to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Things-
fair. It's nighttime. It's hard.
I stopped being able to see what was happening. Everything froze for me. Like
Oh.
preview
Yeah.
window,
Oh,
not
well.
preview window, bus
It's
window.
okay. We'll have
I'm
a
sorry,
new
Thwamp.
thwumps of some
Oh.
kind.